August 2nd, 2016, New York City. A flagship is born. It had the curves, it had the screen, it had a big battery. Samsung invited the world to its launch party, but little did they know it was about to get uncomfortably warm. Tonight on Cybernut Report, it's the Samsung Galaxy Note7. The glow up before the blow up.
This is the best phone that Samsung makes right now.
Let's say hello to the Samsung Galaxy Note7.
Samsung isn't holding back at all.
I'm kind of in love with it.
Best smartphone of 2016.
And nothing will come close to it in the next year.
The Note was always the productivity king. It had the S Pen, it could sign PDFs, it could do a multi-window. It was the phone made for getting things done. And it was always known as the phone that could do more than the iPhone. Because the iPhone didn't have the S Pen. Because at the time, the iPhone 7's rumored launch was kind of boring. It was going to be a boring update for iPhone either way. And honestly, everything was going great for Samsung. They just announced a new Note in August of 2016. The Galaxy Note 7 was on its way to being the best phone of the year, and it was getting great reviews and first impressions from news outlets, from YouTubers, from smartphone blogs.
It's essentially the most specs you could get for your money.
You can use the S Pen underwater if you want to, and I want to test that in my Speedos.
You simply need not look any further than the Samsung Galaxy Note 7.
Samsung put their whole pussy into this phone, and things were going really well. Until they weren't.
Burning and melting. Samsung issuing an unprecedented recall.
Samsung delaying shipments of its Galaxy Note 7 amid reports of exploding batteries.
The St. Pete man says his brand new Samsung Galaxy Note 7 phone started a fire that torched his beloved Jeep.
Multiple consumers have now complained of explosions.
I was actually just sitting at my desk at work, and then it pretty much exploded.
No matter how good a phone is, if 100 of them explode within a month of it being out, that's pretty bad.
Phones exploded. Property damaged. Customers upset. Samsung still trying to figure out what the was going on. And me? Flabbers gasted. Pearls clutched. Jaw dropped. I was just super surprised to see that something like this was happening because I'd never seen this happen before.
The Consumer Product Safety Commission is now issuing a formal government recall.
We can't even get our hands on one to demonstrate because they've all been recalled.
After 92 reports of overheating, 26 people burned and 55 pieces of property damaged.
It is important to mention it is extremely unusual for the FAA to warn passengers about any specific products.
Samsung Galaxy Note 7 phones are not to be charged or powered on during this flight.
Samsung is stepping up its recall, asking owners of the Note 7 to take immediate action to protect themselves.
And there's no word on exactly what caused the problems.
We did not meet the standard of excellence that you expect and deserve. For that, we apologize.
Everyone knows that the internet is a ruthless place that shows no mercy. So when this started happening, the internet did what it does best. Note 7 jokes exploded on Twitter. Some of them were not even funny, but some of them were pretty good. I have to say, somebody unboxed the Note 7 with fireproof gloves on.
Mira nada más cómo está, muy bonito, Samsung.
There was always the juxtaposition of the Note 7 next to a fire extinguisher. Let me just put this fire extinguisher here next to the Note 7 just in case. But come on, it's hard not to do this when the resulting explosion made the phone look like it was on a barbecue. There was even a Halloween costume that was pretty genius. This dude strapped a bunch of Note 7 boxes on him, and he would just blow vape smoke into the box. Like, it was kind of funny. Then there was the infamous GTA 5 mod. A lot of funny things happened here. A YouTube channel previously known as Modded Games posted a video of Grand Theft Auto 5 gameplay. The main character of the story, Michael, walks into an ammo store and he approaches the counter to go buy sticky bombs. The photo of the sticky bomb was replaced with a render of the Samsung Galaxy Note 7. Sticks him to the car, blows him up. uses the Note 7s to blow up a bunch of police cars, very much GTA 5 activities. This video is about 2 minutes and 40 seconds, right? Samsung managed to get this video taken down from YouTube with a copyright strike. Now, the thing is, Samsung legally didn't have any coal for this barbecue because Samsung does not own the rights to Grand Theft Auto 5. And so what happened was, by Samsung trying to get this video off and like protect its identity and its reputation, it actually ended up making it worse because when this happened, news articles came out talking about this channel and how they had this video up and how Samsung took it down and then how it was put back up. And more people heard about it, and so more people watched the video. Today that video has 3.1 million views. So now, at this point, Samsung was fighting two battles. On one side, it's actively trying to restore its reputation as this trusted, high-quality brand. And on the other side, they're dealing with this massive technical failure of its batteries. For me, there were two versions of me that were colliding with each other in the weirdest way. Less than 2 years before all of this was going down, I was a Samsung rep at Best Buy. I stood behind the Samsung counter. I was a Samsung experience consultant who told customers that we are the gold standard of quality and trust, and these are our products, and they're really great. I mean, yeah, it was just a seasonal job at Samsung Retail, and I got paid $12.50 an hour. But I still loved my job. I loved what I did. I genuinely enjoyed being there, talking to people about Samsung phones. So some 18 months later, I'm sitting there.
Barbecue sauce on my titties.
I'm sitting there holding this perfect phone, this phone of the year in my hand. And I'm actually now telling people, hey, this phone might blow up and you have to return it. This might actually be a bomb.com. So I have one right here. Now, this is not the Galaxy Note 7. This is a Note 8. As you can see, the battery is having a moment. This is what we call a spicy pillow, right? See, put your... But anyhow, like, this was not a thing that was supposed to happen. This was not a normal part of a tech launch. I was all of a sudden part of this major canonical tech event discussion.
It's official. The Note 7 is properly discontinued. Now, looking at the fallout of a failed phone launch, which could cost Samsung billions, where does Samsung go from here? Do we need the Samsung CEO on camera, on TV, in an apology music playing in the background to explain the situation?
Formally, the public would want probably an apology. In front of a camera, I'm sorry, this is what happened, it's our fault. We're going to make sure it doesn't happen again. Safety is our priority. That's what they've been doing.
Let's just quickly recount the timeline. August 2nd, Note 7 is announced. August 19th, Note 7 goes on sale. August 24th, 5 days after the Note 7 goes on sale, the first reported explosion happens in South Korea. September 2nd, 9 days after the first explosion and 14 days after the phone initially went on sale, DJ Ko, Samsung's head of mobile business communications, gave the following statement. A total of 35 cases were reported, which represents a defect rate of 24 units per million. Analysis of the cause revealed that the issue stemmed from a problem with the battery cells themselves. Prioritizing consumer safety, we have decided to suspend sales and offer exchanges for new Note 7 devices. It's difficult for me to give a figure regarding the cost at this time that pains me to even think about. When this September 2nd press release came out, Samsung did two things. They said that they were announcing a recall program that would replace the defective phones. Then they also identified the problem as a battery cell issue. Now, that's all they knew at the time. They knew it was the battery, but they didn't know the specifics. For the Note 7, Samsung had two battery suppliers. Samsung SDI, which was Samsung's in-house battery manufacturer. The Samsung batteries are manufactured in Vietnam and South Korea. And then they had another battery manufacturer called ATL, Amperex Technology Limited. It was a Hong Kong-based company, and those batteries were manufactured in China. So what they noticed was that the phones that were blowing up had Samsung SDI batteries. So Samsung realized, shit, our batteries are the ones blowing up. So now they had to get the faulty phones back. They had to ramp up production of new phones with safe batteries, but they also had to do that fast enough to get these new phones into people's hands before Apple could. But they also had to meet the demand of what was going to be the biggest phone of the year. People still wanted this phone. So 1 week later, after this recall and apology, this is the email that I got from Samsung's PR at the time. Hi, Ricky. Samsung launched the US Note 7 exchange program in response to a battery cell issue. While there have been only a small number of reported incidents, Samsung is taking great care to provide customers with the support they need. At this time, we would like to coordinate the return of your review unit. Please let me know of a convenient time or date, and I will arrange pickup. If you still need a Galaxy Note 7 review unit, let us know and we will work to get one sent to you once we have a replacement devices. Before sending it back, we encourage you to use Samsung Smart Switch on your Windows PC or Mac to back up your Note 7. This way, you can save all of your settings, apps, photos, notes, and more, and easily restore your device when you receive the new phone. You can find the software for download at this link. Please reach out if you have any questions. Best. I got in touch with the PR rep. They sent somebody to my apartment, and I said, "Oh yeah, please take this from my apartment. I don't want it blowing up." I may have even put it in a cooking pot while I was waiting because I didn't know what was going to happen. Nobody knew what was going to happen. There was a very small number, 25 or 24 units out of a million that were exploding. It was still not zero. So somebody came to my apartment. I handed them the phone, and then they took it. And that was it.
Hey guys, it's Brandon Miniman from XDA Developers. We're here at our office, and we have just received this crazy Galaxy Note 7 return kit. A thermally insulated box with gloves. We provided you with a return kit designed specifically for your Note 7 with lithium-ion batteries, forbidden for transport by aircraft. So within this box is another box, and within this box is another box. And what you're supposed to do here is put the Note 7 inside the static shield, and then inside the OEM replacement box, and then there's an inner box, and then the thermal protective box, and then it has to go by ground transport.
And then I'll put that flea in a box, and then I'll put that box inside of another box, and then I'll mail that box to
Samsung.
And when it arrives,
Samsung will ethically and responsibly recycle all returned materials. Then the small box goes into another box, and then that box gets put inside another box. The last layer of boxes was lined with this ceramic paper.
So we're going to see if this box can handle 30 seconds worth of flame.
And this ceramic paper was a fire retardant. So if there was anything that was on fire inside the box, it blocked the flames from getting out, and there was no air, so it just self-contained the fire. Even with all this protection, both FedEx and UPS drivers were terrified of handling these packages. I'd be terrified too if I was a driver. Plus, there are a lot of other people's property on the truck, including my body on the truck, and so that's a huge liability on its own. So finally, September 21st, the first shipments of replacement phones arrived in the US and Korea 19 days later. So there was a couple ways to identify the replacement phones that were safe. Next to the IMEI barcode on the box, they put a black square. And in some markets, they had a little blue sticker with an S on it that also meant safe. But the biggest indicator for the new replacement Note 7s was that the battery icon in the phone was a green battery icon. It was visible from the lock screen, it was visible from the power menu, and it was visible from the always-on display. So if you had a green icon, you knew it was safe. Samsung launched a website where you could enter your IMEI number, and it would tell you whether you had an affected phone or an unaffected phone. If it was affected, you had to return it. If it was unaffected, it was safe. Okay? All right, cool. Anyway, things were going fine. Samsung was replacing people's phones. People were happy now leaving the store with a safe phone. They were going to enjoy the phone of the year. If you didn't want the Note 7 anymore, you could get a different phone, or Samsung would offer you a refund if you wanted it as well. Samsung was a good 14 days into this, a fortnight, if you will, into replacing and selling safe Galaxy Note 7s. Samsung PR around the world was probably relieved to know that this was finally behind them, that they didn't have to worry, and that everyone was getting safe units. Until they weren't. Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, it wasn't. On a Southwest Airlines flight, the unthinkable happens. A replacement phone deemed safe was not quite. Samsung's second chance went up in first-degree smoke. It was a sequel to a show that nobody wanted to buy a ticket to see. So the next canon event of this whole thing is a Southwest Airlines flight. It's leaving from Louisville, Kentucky. It's going to Baltimore.
This phone is one of the replacements that are supposed to be safe.
Brian Green says he just turned the phone off and put it in his pocket.
I heard some popping that sounded like a Ziploc bag popping open, and looked around to see what that was, and there was smoke just billowing, pouring out of my pocket.
Smoke in the cabin on the ramp. At the gate terminal ramp.
Someone yelled out, "The phone is on fire," and of course the first thing that came to mind was the recalls on the Samsung phone.
A check of the serial number on Green's phone showed it is not part of the current recall.
There's something else going on they need to look a little deeper into.
That phone ignites in Brian's pocket. Not charging, not turned on, not being used. And it had the green battery indicator. So, what now?
So?
No, I'm saying
what now?
I mean, it's not specifically for that audience. You just make music, right?
I guess.
When this ignited in his pocket, he took it out, threw it on the floor, and thankfully the Southwest Airlines flight was still on the ground. Obviously, smoke filled the cabin and they had to evacuate everybody. In any case, this was a safe phone now that was no longer safe. This was now officially the point of no return for Samsung. This was like, oh shit, like this is done. After that happened, more stories of the safe Note 7s came in that they were also exploding. A 13-year-old girl in Minnesota felt the phone melt in her hand when she was using it. In Kentucky and Virginia, 2 people woke up to their Note 7s smoking up their bedrooms. In Texas, a guy's Note 7 caught fire while he was having lunch. These aren't stories any different from the first batch of explosions. In neither of these cases was it predictable when they were blowing up. It didn't matter if they were on or off. It didn't matter if they were charging or not charging. It didn't matter if they were in a pocket, on a table, in a bag. With more reports of this happening and more reports coming that the replacement, supposedly safe phones were now exploding, Samsung had to make the difficult but correct decision. On October 11th, 2016, 53 days after going on sale, Samsung permanently discontinued the Galaxy Note 7.
Samsung's Galaxy Note 7 is no more.
The tech company has permanently stopped production of the device over problems that linger with its lithium-ion batteries.
Samsung launched a massive recall last month over concerns the batteries can overheat and then catch fire.
More than 24 reports now of burn injuries from customers. Samsung recalled the phone, but replacement phones have had the same problem.
There's a piece in the paper too today about how this is going to affect the entire market, because Apple and others may benefit from Samsung's problems.
By now, it had been 2 months of just constant news about the Samsung and the replacement phones and the blowing up and the testimonies and like everything. I logged into work that afternoon to write news, as I did every day, and catching up on what was covered the day before. And I remember reading that headline, Samsung discontinues the Note 7. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, how do you do that? Like, how do you
Miss Jackson.
What does that mean? Like, y'all already marketed the phone. Y'all put on a show. I was there. Step with me into the shoes of a customer real quick. You buy the Note 7. First came out. Phone of the year. Cool phone. Awesome. They say, wait, it might blow up. We need them back. And you're like, okay, but I just bought this phone and I don't have my old one and all my stuff is in this phone, but I love it. But also it might blow up. But also I can't return it because then I don't have a phone. But you also have to charge the phone to use it until you get a replacement phone. So do you charge it in a cooking pot? Do you charge it outside? Do you charge it with a fire extinguisher next to your bed? And the new ones aren't ready yet. And so it was a lot of this like, what happens now? This was a very frustrating process for the customer. You wait the 19 days, the replacement phones arrive, you go to the store, you get the replacement phone. It's safe now. It has the green battery indicator. It has the little black bar on the box next to the IMEI. And then Samsung comes back and says, you know that phone that we gave you? Yeah, we need that back too. Fool me once. That's the frustrating part of having been a Note 7 customer while this was happening. I will say, for how badly the commercial failure went, Samsung handled everything very correctly from a business point of view. They owned up.
We did not meet the standard of excellence that you expect and deserve. For that, we apologize.
They apologized. They were transparent with the public. They made these return boxes. They made sure every part of it was safe. They ramped production up to try to get you a replacement phone. They inconvenienced a lot of people along the way. That's for sure. If you were a Note 7 customer, Samsung offered you a Galaxy S7 Edge as a replacement, which honestly, the S7 Edge was a really good phone that came out right before the Note. They weren't exploding. They had the same processor. They were just as fast. The camera was just as good. The only difference was that it didn't have the S Pen and it was a little bit smaller, but it was still a really great phone at the time. Now, put yourself in Samsung's shoes. You put a product out, it's great. Then they fail, they're exploding. Then you fix them, and then they fail again. They're exploding again. So, to have to release a product for a third time is a logistical nightmare on a global scale. Samsung could have gone back to the Situation Room. They could have rushed and they could have said third time's the charm. And they could have, taken another 3 weeks to make another 3 million batch 3 phones so that they could get the phone into customers' hands. But then the product would have cost 3 times as much to make in the beginning. And you also run the risk of the product failing again because of the quick turnaround that caused the second explosion. Samsung could not, in good faith, put customers at risk a third time from a rushed production of a third batch.
Do you think that Samsung should completely kill the Galaxy Note 7 and just move on? Or do you feel that the company should launch a Galaxy Note 7S with changes that figure out battery life and everything? Because in my case, I think that that's what's supposed to happen. The company should just rebrand right now and say, this is a brand new smartphone that we're selling.
Why did the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 bail so badly? 152 days after the first Galaxy Note 7 ignited, Samsung revealed its thorough investigation findings and shared it with everybody. And they promised that they would. They had said, we're going to figure out what it was, and they did. 200,000 returned Note 7 devices and 30,000 batteries were reviewed and tested by 3 independent auditors. And here's something interesting. The first and second batches of Note 7s exploded for different reasons. I don't know if you knew this.
Here's what we discovered. Our findings concluded that the Note 7 device failures were due to two different factors that originated in and were specific to the two different batteries. As you can see in the first instance, there was an electrode deflection and incorrect positioning of the negative electrode tip in the upper right corner of the battery. In the second occurrence, an abnormal weld spot led to an internal short circuit.
Remember, they had to rush production of millions of phones for the world to meet demand, to meet replacements. And as a result of those of rushing that production of the phone, those welds that were not quality controlled caused the same exact reaction as the first batch of batteries. So both batteries ignited in the same way for different reasons. This is very interesting. Publishing all of these findings helped a lot to restore Samsung's reputation. They did this before the next phone launched, in advance of the Samsung Galaxy S8 that was coming out the next year. In addition, they also developed this 8-point battery check. Now, I'm not going to go through each step. You can go find that rabbit hole if you want. But it developed this standard for the whole industry. So the silver lining of this whole thing was that it wasn't only Samsung that benefited from this whole thing happening. This newfound knowledge will actually help to improve battery safety across the industry. So what did Samsung do with all these returned Note 7s? They weren't just going to throw them away, right? So even though this phone was recalled, canceled, and returned, people still wanted them. And so what Samsung did was they were able to release the phone in South Korea as the Samsung Galaxy Note Fan Edition, a limited run of repaired Note 7s with safer batteries. And they implemented all of the safety checks that I mentioned. It had a 10% smaller battery. It was otherwise exactly the same as the Galaxy Note 7. It launched in July 2017, and it only released 400,000 units because Samsung didn't want to cannibalize its own sales of the Samsung Galaxy S8, which had already launched a few months before. So you're probably wondering, how many phones were sold and recalled and returned? As of January 2017, Samsung had reported that 3.06 million phones were sold and 96% of them were returned, which means that there's an unaccounted for about 100 and something thousand Note 7s that still exist. So what happened to those? So what happened if you had this phone, it was blowing up, it was recalled, you were supposed to return it, but instead you kept it? Once they issued the very first recall, they had an update that did a bunch of things, including this warning message that came on every time you turned on the phone. So after the second recall, Samsung eventually released other updates that would then limit the charging of the phone's battery. So you could only charge a maximum of 60%. If you turned off this option, you could only charge to 80%. And this was the final update, which was dubbed the kill update. And if you made it this far, this last update will prevent your Galaxy Note 7 from charging. The phone will no longer work as a mobile device. But what did that even mean? Like, can't use it anymore? Well, basically, it disabled the radios, so you could not activate it on any carriers. It stopped the phone from charging, so the battery could not receive a charge. You could still turn the phone on and use it, but only if it was plugged into power. So this completely disabled the phone to be used as a phone, and it still gave you the opportunity to go back and return the phone to Samsung and get your refund as was expected. Why would somebody decide to keep a spicy pillow Note? I'll give you three reasons. Why. Reason number one, because it was the phone of the year. Like, they had it in their hands and they loved it, and it had a really pretty blue coral color.
Actually, it's coral blue number 2.
It was on its way to being the #1 phone of the year, so they're like, I'm not giving this shit back, I'm gonna keep it. And they did. Reason number two, they thought introspectively and they said, who is Samsung to say what I can't keep? I paid for this and I'm keeping it. And you can't stop me. And you know what? They were right, because they couldn't. Samsung wasn't going to come to your house and take it from you. Okay, fair. Keep your spicy pillow. The last reason is, if the phone didn't blow up in the beginning, it probably wasn't going to later on. So yeah, that's deductive logic there. They probably decided, okay, it's not going to happen to me. I'm going to keep the phone. Cool. I don't have a Note 7, but I do have this Note 8. And, you know, over time, the pillow became spicy. But you know what? It probably isn't going to blow up. I don't think it's going to blow up, but like, we'll never know until forever happens. It was a 53-day roller coaster that left the tech world with singed eyebrows and a whole lot of questions. Samsung promised a masterpiece, but instead gave us a masterclass in how to handle a burning phone. They say if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen, but Samsung made the kitchen a little bit safer. Those 2 months of 2016, from a tech journalist perspective, were pretty wild. Samsung announced Phone of the Year. Samsung recalled Phone of the Year. Samsung replaced Phone of the Year. Samsung recalled Phone of the Year again. I got to talk about it on a podcast. Samsung canceled Phone of the Year. Looking at the tech and the phones that we have today, we kind of needed that explosion and that drama to happen with Samsung so that we could have something that's thoroughly tested and safe for us today. Whether Samsung knew it or not, wanted to or not, it had to kind of sacrifice a lamb in the name of battery safety. And you know, even today, I sometimes, every once in a while, will hear the flight attendant on the intercom saying that a Samsung Galaxy Note 7 is not allowed on the flight, even though it's been almost 10 years. So if you're part of that 4% of Galaxy Note owners, I want to hear from you. I want to hear if you still have it. Send me pictures. I would love to hear your stories about the Note 7. Were you an affected customer? Please drop your story. Do you still have a Note 7? Drop your story. Did you have a family member who maybe didn't even know that the Note 7 was recalled? Drop your story. I want to hear everything. Y'all weren't just keeping a fire hazard in your pockets. You were keeping a piece of tech history, and maybe you didn't know it back then, but I'm telling you now that that phone is a piece of tech history. The Note 7 serves as a reminder that tech can be so ambitious that it puts people in danger. Even though Samsung was able to do what it did, move on, and continue and learn from that, it kind of was the precursor to now us being able to confidently grab a phone, leave it in the car, put it in the oven. No, don't put it in the oven. Even though Samsung got through it and fans moved on, got new phones, the Note 7 never really went away. It served as the example that made it so that all future phones could be safe in our pockets. Like, look at this thing. It's blown up and it hasn't exploded. I would put this in my pocket, not gonna lie. But anyway, thanks for going on this Cybernut deep dive with me. I'm Enrique VT, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. That was good. Let me do it again. Okay. All right. The mic's not hitting anything. Okay.